What is up, everybody out there in podcast land?
Burr, baby, burr!
Yes, it is very cold outside the Sports Frenzy studios. But of course, the takes are hot here.
They always are hot.
With your Uncle Dave, the Conquistador Dave Height.
And your Uncle Kev, the maestro, Kevin Crane.
As always, we are ecstatic, glad, titillated to have you aboard here on January the 15th, 2025. This episode will drop early tomorrow morning on the 16th. And of course, Dave, what do we always start off with here in the dog days of winter?
Bum, 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 bum. Football, baby.
Now,
in the heart of the NFL playoffs, divisional weekend coming up.
Now we don't have as many games to go over as we used to. Now that the regular season is over for both the college ranks and the NFL. So, as we go through the first round of the NFL playoffs and the semifinal games for the college football playoff, the first year of the 12-team playoff, we will maybe get a little more in-depth. Maybe I have a little project for us. Now, this would apply to the NFL, not college. But we start off, as Dave mellifluously sang, kind of, sort of, the NFL and the wild card round. 6 games, only one of them was actually really competitive. And of course, it had to be the game where my team lost. Had to be.
Son of a biscuit.
But we'll get to that. We're going to go through it chronologically, starting off with Saturday, January the 11th. What we like to now call the Houston Texans slot. Because year after year after year, they make the playoffs. They squeak in somehow.
And they wind up on Saturday.
Saturday afternoon. Yes, because they're not a big enough TV draw.
Right.
Where anybody wants them prime time, Saturday night, Sunday night, Monday night. So they always get stuck mid-afternoon on Saturday, the very first playoff game of the weekend. And I have to give them credit.
After 6 weeks of being abject disaster offensively, they showed up.
4 big questions this weekend. This leads me to big question number 1 for you, Dave.
Yes, Kevin.
Texans win 32-12.
Yeesh.
In a game that most of us, 6 of our 8 panelists, picked the Chargers to win. My question to you is Justin Herbert the next Kirk Cousins? 4 interceptions in this game. He only had 3 interceptions all through the regular season. This is his second straight, not consecutive years, but second straight playoff appearance, second straight bad showing. Because remember, the other time was they had the epic meltdown and let Jacksonville come all the way back.
Jacksonville roared back.
Now, most people blame that one on the head coach, Brandon Staley.
You have to blame that one on Staley not knowing what the hell he was doing. This one falls squarely on Justin Herbert's shoulders. Bad decision after bad decision.
And I'm worried. I am extremely worried about him now. I will say that. Is because now 2 bad playoff losses. He got paid. He got the coach.
One of the first ones to get paid.
He got the coach. I know, we've been saying this all year. He needs receivers. He needs a more stable running game. He needs a
little more protection.
Now we're hearing, Khalil Mack's considering retiring.
Yep, so that defense is going to take a hit.
I hate to think that he is the next Kirk Cousins, but unless he turns it around here pretty soon, that's the road he's heading down.
Yeah, he's got one.
Depending on who the front office gets in terms of weapons.
Depending on what happens, he is one more horrible playoff game away from being written off.
Yeah. So now let's give credit where credit is due. D'Amico Ryans dialed up the defense, constant pressure on Justin Herbert. Now, the first couple drives, the Chargers looked like the better team.
They did that,
but they had to settle for field goals.
Yeah, that first quarter, they looked like they were in dominant fashion. Their defense was looking good, but all right, here you go. The Texans once again are going to be inept the whole game.
And C.J. Stroud did not look great.
No,
really, the defense won that game for them.
Yeah, they did, hands down. But it was, that's scary that a Harbaugh defense did not really jump up like you would have thought.
Yeah, but they were showing cracks
all season. But still,
at the end of the year, especially. I remember that the pivotal game playing the Broncos. They let up a lot of points to Bo Nix.
Yeah,
a lot of points.
So Harbaugh's got his work cut out for him.
And that defense, even though they got the three big stars we just mentioned, Khalil Mack is thinking of retiring. Derwin James ain't getting any younger. You can't rely on any of the Bosa brothers.
No, not at all. So they have to retool.
Of course, Joey is the one with the Chargers.
Yeah. Slightly more reliable than Nick, but
I think Nick's better. But yeah, Joey probably is a little bit
more durable.
Yeah. So a very disappointing start to Wild Card Weekend with the Chargers getting shellacked. And it didn't get much better on Saturday night.
No.
As somebody needed to tell the Pittsburgh Steelers,
it's the playoffs.
You do have to show up in the first half. You realize this, right?
You do need to kind of score early, but their offense has been bad all year.
Yeah, but here's the thing. That was an Amazon broadcast, so it was Kirk Herbstreit and Al Michaels. Kirk Herbstreit was not pulling any punches. Kirk Herbstreit was calling out Mike Tomlin and calling out the Steelers, saying, this team does not look like they wanted to play. They don't have any fight. They don't look like they have any heart, any desire. And that's absolutely what I was feeling, too, in the first half. The first half, that team did not come to play. And they buried themselves in such a deep, dark hole
that there was no coming out.
They outscored the Ravens in the second half, but it wasn't good enough because they were already down 21 points at half.
Yeah, so you're up that much. Of course, the Ravens are just going to kind of try and do ball control and not try and put up any points. They're just going to run the clock.
Their defense is not going to take any big chances.
No. They're just going to try and manage the game, which is all they needed to do.
So the Ravens win at home 28-14. Question number 2, Dave, for Wild Card Weekend. Is it time we started downgrading Mike Tomlin as a head coach?
When it revolves around the playoffs, I think that is a fair assessment.
Because how many years has it been? 8 years since he's won a playoff game?
Yeah.
I believe?
Yeah. Great. You have a winning season again. But when it comes to crunch time, he does not have his team prepared in any way, shape, or form.
And then, of course, immediately these rumors, I don't know who started them.
Teams are going to want to trade for him. One, you just can't cold call a team and say, hey, how many picks you want for your head coach? That doesn't work.
Didn't Denver do that with Peyton?
There were already discussions before Peyton wanted out. They wanted to get rid of him. There doesn't seem to be that going on here with Pittsburgh.
I think you're right.
So there's got to be long-standing wanting to get out, wanting to get rid of. A lot of stuff taking place before that would even happen.
We all admire. There are certain things in the NFL, these streaks, that we all admire. Damn me to hell for saying this, but we admire the Packers for somehow being able to draft or develop these Hall of Fame level quarterbacks, maybe. We'll get to that in a minute.
Jury's
Yeah,
still...
we'll get to that in a minute. That might be another big question. But the other thing is the Pittsburgh Steelers and how they've only had 3 head coaches since the 60s.
Is that always a good thing?
Well, this is what I'm saying. At some point, the streak has got to end. Just like the Bears' streak of bad quarterbacks has got to end. Right? Right, people? Right?
You would think.
There's something about Mike Tomlin I really like. But at some point, you cannot ignore the X's and the O's, the numbers, the statistics, and the record in the ledger.
His message wearing thin in Pittsburgh, there's a thing. Sometimes you have to have a new voice coming in to shake things up.
Now, I will say one thing in his defense.
They settled him.
Pittsburgh is not a big spending team.
No, they're not.
They're not considered cheap. They're considered frugal. Not like the Bengals. The Bengals are considered cheap. But Pittsburgh will always seem to let go of players if they don't 100% fit into the mold of the Steelers' dynamic. Like George Pickens, he's gone. He's gone. The minute they can get rid of him, he's gone. He's a waste of space.
Gee, just like Chase Claypool.
And then, the quarterback situation
is abysmal.
What do they always say? The cliche, if you have 2 quarterbacks, you have 0 quarterbacks. And that's what the Steelers had this year.
Yeah.
They didn't know what to do with Justin Fields and Russell Wilson. Ultimately, was it the smartest move to go from Fields to Wilson? They were 4-2.
And they were showing signs of some semblance of life with Fields. Wilson was... He had, one really solid game, and that was it.
Yeah. And I still... we talk about some of these quarterbacks, and we've seen these redemption stories with the Baker Mayfields and maybe Sam Darnold. We'll get to that in a minute.
Potential topic.
But you've always liked Mason Rudolph. He's a good example.
Yeah, what the hell did he do to piss off Mike Tomlin to have lost the starting role last year and to be let go?
Good point. You know why? Because I was just going to bring up a guy who actually looked pretty good substituting for a game and a half for Jalen Hurts, Kenny Pickett. Doesn't seem like they did a great job of developing Kenny Pickett because I thought he showed some promise filling in for Hurts.
Yeah, it looked like he developed very well in Philadelphia's system where Pittsburgh didn't do anything with him.
So is it Mike Tomlin can't develop quarterbacks? The Artie party, supposedly this great offensive mind. I don't know. I don't know what the problem is. Is he hiring the wrong coordinators? Is Pittsburgh too cheap with not bringing in big-name weapons to help out their quarterbacks? They draft well. No, that's the one thing they do very well.
They do draft
draft well, and that's why they are consistently solid year in and year out. But when do you get to the point where you say that's not enough anymore? When does Steeler Nation get to the point where they say, we're kind of tired of 9-8, 10-7, and out first round of the playoffs?
Gee, kind of sounds similar-ish to the Cowboys of late, even though they've had high win totals. You get to the playoffs, one and done.
Yep. All right, so then we move on to Sunday, January the 12th, the 3 games. A full day, a smorgasbord of football, starting off with the Bills and the Broncos. Now, this turned out pretty much the way I expected. And I don't think there's no big topic in this one. Bills win 31-7. Bo Nix didn't do anything wrong. It's just, again, a transitional time. They're on the up. They're moving up.
Is going to be a solid quarterback during his career.
Another team that has to get out from salary cap hell because of Russell Wilson.
Yep.
Once they get that dead money off the cap,
then they can build the team.
And get him some weapons. He's got 3 running backs. Nobody knows which one is the go-to guy. We talked about
Make a decision.
We talked about 2 quarterbacks equals 0 quarterbacks.
Well, three running backs equals 0 running backs.
You can have a 2-headed monster in the backfield.
Yep, look at Detroit.
But I don't think you can pull 3.
No.
You can't do 3. Plenty of instances where you can have 2. So, really not a lot to talk about with this game. The Bills won at home, as expected. The Broncos, I don't think, embarrassed themselves. I just think
they ran into the juggernaut that is the Bills right now.
The Bills have been at that high level now for years, and they're expected to do this.
Yes.
The Broncos
they're
are
the
moving up.
Up-and-comers.
Yep. They're like the Jeffersons. Moving on up to the top.
Give
to that
AFC
time. West apartment in the sky. It's great to have my voice back, by the way.
Yes, aren't you kids thrilled?
It only took 2 months. All right, midday on Sunday. Eagles hosting the Packers. Eagles win 22-10.
It wasn't even that close.
Yeah, but it was not a well-played game.
No,
really.
On both sides it was bad. Packers injuries stacking up.
Yeah, they barely had one of their top 4 receivers walking at the end of the game.
Yeah, it was just not a good situation.
And Jalen Hurts just coming back after weeks off from the concussion. Saquon got his 100 yards. He's dependable. He's reliable.
Saquon was underutilized in that game.
So, big question number 3 for Wild Card Weekend. Has the Packers' streak of Hall of Fame, high-level, top-level quarterbacks come to a screeching halt with Jordan Love?
This year, it kind of looks like it. He has regressed this season. With all the dynamic plays he had last year, this year, he's shown the propensity to make the bad throws. I mean, completely not reading the field at all and throwing horrible picks.
Yeah, what was it they showed during the game? I think that now he had the knee issue early. And they had to bring Malik Willis in. But he had a lot of picks early in the year, and then he went a long streak with no picks. And then at the end of the year, started to fall apart again.
Yep, the picks started to mount back up. And he made some awful passes in this game, too.
And like Justin Herbert, he just got paid. So they're stuck with him. Now I will say this.
You can't pay these guys that much damn money.
Now, I will say this. God help me for saying this. The football gods strike me down for saying this. Maybe Aaron Rodgers was right. And maybe even though they brought in all these young guys, the Christian Watsons and the Romeo Dobbs and the Jaden Reeds and the Dontavian Wicks,
maybe
Aaron Rodgers saw real quick that these guys aren't top level. These aren't Devontae Adams in waiting.
No, they're not.
He's got his connection with Devontae, just like he had it with Jordy Nelson. Was that him or was that Brett? I can't remember.
No, he had the tail end of Nelson. Okay.
But maybe Aaron Rodgers saw that, and that's why he was doing a hissy fit. Was because he's like, I need a top-level, top 5, top 8 draft pick type receiver. I need a Malik Neighbors. I need a Roma Dunze. I need one of those type of guys.
Somebody who can hold on to the damn ball and run a route.
Yeah, not somebody in the late first round or the second or third round.
Who's got some speed.
I need a superstar receiver.
I need a receiver who can run a route, and I need a receiver who can hold on to the damn ball.
Yeah.
You can find them in the later rounds, too.
You can, yes. I'm not trying to disparage the later round guys.
No. Right now, Green Bay has not drafted wide receivers well at all.
We just talked about it. Here's your football math lesson again, kids. 2 quarterbacks equals 0 quarterbacks. 3 running backs equals 0 running backs. In the case of Green Bay, 4 wide receivers equals 0 wide receivers.
Because nobody stands out as a go-to person.
Right. I'm sorry, but I hate to boil it down to fantasy football. fantasy football tells you a lot more than the pundits want to believe.
Yeah,
there's a reason why nobody was
but
drafting any Green Bay wide receivers until like maybe the last round.
the last couple rounds, I went out on a limb to fulfill a final wide receiver spot with
Right.
Watson, thinking maybe he could stay healthy, maybe he will turn into that number one.
Yep. And now he's starting to get and I'm not trying to, again, kick a guy when he's down.
How many hamstring issues has he had the first couple years? And now with the ACL.
Yep. I personally, let's put it this way, I will not be looking at Jordan Love in my fantasy draft next year.
No.
Not even as a backup. There's plenty of better quarterbacks who I would have more faith in as a backup.
Absolutely.
And then, like we mentioned, we get to the night game, the NBC game, the one game that actually was decided by less than double digits, and it had to be
The
a loss.
last-second field goal.
Had to be a loss for my Tampa Bay Buccaneers as they get beat by Jaden Daniels and the Washington Commanders 23-20. And this game was so gut-wrenching for me because we saw 4 picks from Justin Herbert, and C.J. Stroud threw a couple picks going through the weekend, and Jordan Love made mistakes, and Jalen Hurts didn't look all that good.
No.
Baker Mayfield made one mistake. One mistake. And it basically cost the Buccaneers the game because the Commanders didn't make any.
Yeah.
Now, yes, they had penalties here and there. There were pass interference calls, but that's normal. But it was turnovers or the lack thereof. Washington did not
They didn't
turn the ball over. Baker had the bad handoff after they had just stopped the Commanders on a 4th down where they decided to go for it instead of kicking a field goal, and Baker screwed up a handoff, 1 turnover, and it cost the Buccaneers the game. God help me. God help me. Because otherwise they did what I thought they would. Bucky Irving showed up second half, was a beast in the second half.
Did what he needed to do.
Baker finding Mike Evans here, there, and everywhere.
Can't stop Evans.
Baker had the awesome run at one point where he's plowing people over for 20 yards.
One errant handoff.
Now, if you will allow me, I need to go on a rant.
Oh, by all means. You
haven't
been able to rant in 2 months, so.
This will not be a yelling, screaming, politically incorrect rant. But I am going to explain to you 2 reasons why I don't like Jaden Daniels. And it has nothing to do with what he does on the field. Everything I've seen from him this year on the field, I am impressed with. Beyond belief. Beyond belief.
He is a solid quarterback. He's mature.
2 reasons, though, why I do not like him. Reason number 1. And I'll explain both. Reason number 1. It's coming too easy for him, too quickly. And I will...
Didn't we see this with C.J. Stroud last year, though?
I think Jaden Daniels looks better. But I have never, ever, 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 ever liked quarterbacks. Even ones that went on to huge success. And I have one in mind. I hate quarterbacks where it's all like, all of a sudden, oh, I'm just a golden god. I'm just the greatest ever.
I can do anything I want whenever I want.
Dan Marino, you and I think he's arguably the greatest quarterback of all time. He had the great first year. Got the Dolphins to the Super Bowl. Never got back.
Nope.
Despite how awesome he was. Troy Aikman, first year, abysmal. Peyton Manning, first year, abysmal. They had to, at some point in time, fight through controversy. Fight through adversity. Joe fucking Montana never did.
Well, fuck him. He had
That's why I hate Joe Montana.
He had everything set up in San Francisco. He had the greatest wide receiver, arguably, in the history of the game.
One of the greatest all-purpose running backs of all time.
Roger Craig. He had a line from hell. There was nobody could fail at quarterback in San Francisco at that time. It would have been impossible. Trent Dilfer in that system would have been a Hall of Fame quarterback. Sorry.
You're fixated on Trent Dilfer tonight, by the way.
He's
already brought him up off mic, talking about arguably the worst quarterback to win a Super Bowl. So Dave's fixated on Trent Dilfer, and that's fine.
It puts things in perspective, though, doesn't it?
Yes, it does. But do you understand what I'm saying about...
Yeah.
I don't like the fact that this is all coming so easily, so quickly for Jaden Daniels. It doesn't look like there's anything stopping him. Even Patrick Mahomes. The Bears passed up on him. Multiple teams passed up on him. He was not the starter right away.
No, he
had
sat
to wait
and learned.
a year before he got his chance. Now he's a Hall of Famer. But Joe Montana never had this kind of adversity until later on, when people finally started to realize, you know what? Steve Young might be better. Maybe you should go to Kansas City, Joe. But it was too easy for Joe Montana.
Yeah.
He never had to go through the adversity. And now I'm getting the same vibe from Jaden Daniels, and I don't like it.
We'll see what the sophomore year brings.
The other thing, and again, just me personally, I like my quarterbacks to be mean, nasty, yelling, screaming assholes. I love when Tom Brady would get on the sidelines and throw his helmet, and he and Belichick would get into it. That's why I love Bo Nix so much.
Oh, going toe-to-toe with...
That's why I think Bo Nix will be fantastic down the road. I love my quarterbacks who get fired up and
a little
get
bit of an
pissy.
edge to them.
Jim McMahon,
Marino could get that way.
Oh, yeah. Yes.
You got Jim Kelly. Got a little edge to him. Aikman
How many times
did you see Peyton Manning and Jeff Saturday going toe-to-toe?
Peyton Manning was always pissed off at something. Because they wanted the best. They wanted the best out of their players around them.
We don't like him, but Rodgers is the same way.
He's more passive-aggressive.
Yeah.
I prefer just aggressive. But every time I see Jaden Daniels on the sidelines, he's sitting there on the bench, kind of like just calm, not talking to anybody, not looking at a tablet, not talking to his coaches. He's just kind of sitting there staring off into the skies. And I'm like, dude, are you even fucking engaged in this game? And then he flips a switch, he goes out, and he's tremendous. I can't stand that. Caleb Williams gets fired up.
Yeah, he does.
I mean, come on, show some emotion, show some life. And again, these are just the two things that drive me crazy to this point.
It's all right.
He needs some controversy. Maybe we need to send him to a masseuse.
I was going to say, should we send him on a trip to Thailand?
Send him on a journey into the dark. Smoke some ayahuasca. I just want to see something from the kid. Other than phenomenal play on the football field. I know.
No, he's had one hell of a season.
Oh, it's unbelievable.
So, we'll see. Can it be replicated?
And I'm tired of the people. Who, the Bears make a mistake. No, because the Bears would have fucked him up.
Exactly.
The Bears would have fucked up Jaden Daniels. He got to the place he should be thanking the football gods.
That he fell where he did.
Yes. And whoever thought we'd say that about Washington.
Yeah, no kidding. Ugh.
All right, then finally, the last game, Monday night. I hate these Monday night playoff games.
They're so stupid.
Monday night, January the 13th. Of course, this game was moved because of the fires in California. And as much as we despise Hollywood and California, we would never wish.
Thoughts and prayers for everybody who's suffering out there.
This on anybody. Literally
No.
hell on earth. And if you guys don't understand that about us after all this time, I hate to say this, you shouldn't be listening.
Yep.
We love the theory of California dropping off into the ocean. Yes. We literally don't want everybody in California to die.
No.
But if the View, maybe, you know.
Maybe.
I might be talking about her this weekend at some point, too. Oh, that reminds me, don't forget to check out the Weekend Edition. This Saturday morning, your Saturday morning hangover cure.
Favorite politically incorrect pop culture commentary.
Uncle Dave and I will be discussing the new album from Tremonti, Creature Commandos.
The movie Juror Number 2.
So check that out this Saturday morning as you take your Alka-Seltzer, your aspirin, eat your eggs, eat your bacon, eat your sausage to get over your abject failure at the bar on Friday night. So finally, little shocking result. I have to admit, when I took the Rams in this game, I was wavering. And I should have stuck more convincingly to my convictions, as I was right. The Rams beat the Vikings at a neutral site, Glendale, Arizona, 27-9.
Yep. Sam Darnold continued to revert back to the old Sam Darnold.
Big question number 4, Dave.
Did he just cost himself a shit ton of money? Yes, he did.
There you go. Read my mind. Did Sam Darnold cost himself, by some accounts, $100 million over the last 9 days?
Yep, 2 horrible games. Could not hit a simple screen pass.
Hell, he looked like Caleb Williams at points, hanging on to the ball way too long.
Yeah.
I happened to hear a snippet of the Minnesota Vikings broadcasters during the game, and one of them, literally in the booth, was screaming, "Just throw the damn ball!"
Yeah. Oh my God.
Because he's holding it and holding it and holding it.
He took that one horrible sack where if you should have let it go, and he didn't.
Yep. Well, he took, what, a record-tying 9 sacks?
Yeah.
In that game?
Not good.
Yeah,
and
some of it was the defense. Shula's defense was very good.
Yeah. Where was Brian Flores' vaunted defense?
And his defense has not shown up the last 2 games.
Yep.
So you can blame a lot of it on Sam Darnold, and rightfully so. But you can also look at Brian Flores and that defense.
Yep. So did he cost himself a head coaching gig?
I don't think so. I think he'll still get one. He might not get the choice job that he wanted.
Got it, yeah.
He might end up in New Orleans. You know, one of the lesser openings, one of the jobs that's least desired right now.
You could argue that that's almost all of them.
Well, usually if you're firing a coach and your team sucks, very rare for, you get a coach who said, like if Andy Reid decided at the end of this year to retire.
They'd be knocking down the door.
Yeah, they give it to Spagnuolo or Nagy.
Do you really want to go down that road?
I wouldn't. But before we get to our picks for the divisional round, we should discuss some hot topics. Hot topics, Dave. Speaking of coaches, we do have a new head coach. We knew this was coming. We knew this was coming.
You didn't know that Vrabel was going to be the head coach of the Patriots. You were an idiot.
Yeah. So Mike Vrabel is the new man in charge in New England. So they go from having one of the few times in NFL history where a player who won a Super Bowl with a team, just a handful of guys, went on to become a head coach for that team, and now the Patriots have gone back to back. with Gerard Mayo and now Mike Vrabel. Both players who won Super Bowls as players for the Patriots.
Intriguing.
Yep. Now, on the Bears front, the one interesting thing...
2,466 head coach candidates are lined up to interview. All right, that's slight hyperbole, but they're over 20.
And now they want to talk to Marcus Freeman.
They have no fucking clue what they're doing. A fired head coach means 0 head coaches. When you're interviewing 20-plus candidates, you have 0 head coaches. That shows Ryan Poles has no fucking clue what he's doing and should be gone.
And now, supposedly, I heard that now that the window is officially open with Mike McCarthy, since he will no longer be the Dallas Cowboys head coach. That is now official.
Yep, and I guess he's already slated for an interview.
And it's supposed to be an all-day pomp and circumstance thing.
Yeah, everybody else has been via Zoom, with the exception so far of Chico, Ron Rivera, who was in town. So, yeah, all right, bring him in. Get used to the idea of Mike McCarthy as the new Chicago Bears head coach.
I know. Something about this, something about the way this is being handled. It's going to be one of two things. It's either going to be my conspiracy theory, which I've told to you and you alone, which I will keep to myself among us, and we'll see if that happens, or it's McCarthy. And speaking of the Dallas Cowboys, so now that Mike McCarthy is out, oh boy. Now there's the obvious that we expected to hear.
Right. Talking to Mr. Deion Sanders. Although I guess that wasn't an official interview. It was just he and Jerry talking. And by accounts, it sounds like Deion said, no, I'm good where I'm at.
That brings me to the other interesting candidate, and possibly what resulted in the breakdown of talks between Mike McCarthy and Jerry Jones. I heard today that a key sticking point against Mike McCarthy coming back was Jerry Jones told him, Jason Witten is going to be the next head coach of the Cowboys, and you need to put him on your staff as the heir apparent.
To try and develop him? Ugh, I heard some
And McCarthy said, hell no. I am not going to have
coaching.
I am not going to have that hanging over my head if I have a 2 or 3 game losing streak and your heir apparent is my offensive coordinator or my tight ends coach, and I know he's going to be the one to jump in the second you decide to fire me.
What coaching has Witten never done?
He was a failure in the booth. On Monday Night Football, he sounded like a moron. If you can't read off a teleprompter...
Did Jerry learn nothing from Jim Irsay bringing in Jeff Saturday?
And thankfully, that was, a month? A month and a half of misery?
A month and a half of misery. Now you're setting the Cowboys up to be completely, utterly horrendous. It makes 0 sense. Jerry should be committed if he does this.
All right. No shock here. I'm not trying to rip on your Dolphins. Dolphins and the Bears. All pro teams were announced. Neither the Bears nor the Dolphins had a first teamer or a second teamer on the all pro squad.
There's a shock. Not really.
The Buccaneers, hey, they celebrated right before they lost to the Commanders. Ron DeSantis declared January the 10th, 2025, Mike Evans Day in Florida.
Why not?
That was fun while it lasted. Now all three of our teams are out. Great. Great. Fun,
They're
fun.
out, Jerry.
Fun till Daddy takes the T-Bird away. The Raiders seem to be doing things a little bit later than everybody else.
Really?
Took them a few days to fire Antonio Pierce. Then it took them a few more days to fire General Manager Tom Telesco. So they have wiped the slate clean.
And, of course, now you're going to have to wait until after the Super Bowl to name Tom Brady the new GM.
And a lot of people are saying he's going to bail on the Fox contract.
I think he would be better off doing it. He has not shown much improvement at all during the season.
No. Now, he's not
He's not Witten bad.
He's not Romo bad.
That either.
And I texted you this weekend. He was
Romo was
awful.
and an all-time low.
There was one play, and I can't remember the names. I'm sorry. But there was one play where the quarterback overthrew a receiver. And Nance kind of led him into, let's give me a critique as a quarterback of what was wrong with that pass. And Romo said, well, that was a throw. That's all he said.
Shit.
That's all he said. That's all he said. The genius Tony Romo. That's what he said.
Thanks, Tony.
Nance teed it up for him to give us a quarterback's perspective on what was wrong with the disconnect.
What happened?
The disconnect between the QB and the wide receiver. Well,
that
was a throw.
And
he does this all the time, and I can't believe this guy gets paid millions upon millions of dollars to be an idiot. Literally, my mute button is not working anymore because I've worn it out because of CBS broadcasts featuring Tony fucking Romo.
All we can hope for coming up in the national championship game is the Pat McAfee broadcast.
Thank God our buddy Jamie turned me on to that.
Oh my God, both those semifinal games were a blast to listen to McAfee and company.
Yes. Because it just sounds like us, like a bunch of guys in a bar watching a game.
And you talk about a group that is completely unbiased for either team. Unlike the douchebags who they usually have, fawning over one or another. These two, or McAfee and company, are phenomenal.
Yeah, there's 6 of them total.
Yeah. So they are great.
It's him. The main guys are him, AJ Hawk, and then the third guy, I'm sorry.
I can't
remember his name. And then the other 3 kind of jump in for comic relief. The one guy was doing the Lou Holtz, the Lou Holtz impression.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Spot on. No, it's a fun broadcast. They do not give any quarter to the officials, to the play calling, to the players. Everybody is fair game.
Yep.
It's awesome.
And they even admit they're on the one end zone, and they say we can't see everything as well as you guys do.
Yeah,
we've got a
we
little monitor.
have to rely on our little tiny iPad monitor for some of this stuff, but no, they are great to listen to.
I will be listening to them for the national championship game. I don't need to hear Chris Fowler screaming and yelling like he's Gus Johnson.
Yeah, you going to Jamie's with us?
Really? Why would you want me there? Why would you want me there?
We are inviting you as our friend and compadre.
I understand that, but why? Why would you want? I will be sitting in there acting like I'm constipated because every time Ohio State does something good, I won't feel like I can cheer. So I'll feel like I'm clenching my butt cheeks to keep the biggest dump of the year inside of me. And then the rest of you'll get excited during a great Notre Dame play. What am I supposed to do? Yay, golf clap.
I know, you could care less about this game.
Yeah, I really. Seriously, I can't think of two worse teams, for me personally, in the title game. Honestly. It would be, I would really have to dig deep to find somebody other than Notre Dame and Ohio State, where I would be like, oh my God, I just hope the entire field implodes like in The Dark Knight, and everybody just falls down in a chasm heading to hell.
Oh, so kind of the typical Georgia-Alabama matchups.
Now, Atlanta, the Falcons, did what they should have done. They canned their defensive coordinator, Jimmy Lake, because their defense was absolutely awful.
It was ass. Let's put it
And I
there.
still don't think Raheem Morris is a good head coach.
No.
Now, he's gotten his second chance, and if he can't do it next year with a full season of Michael Penix, he needs to get canned. Because then you're going to start wasting time with Bijan Robinson and Drake London. You got these young players, but they're heading towards that second contract.
Yeah.
And are they going to want to stick around with a dipshit for a head coach?
Probably not.
Speaking of dipshits, can we talk for a minute about the Cleveland Browns? We got so many topics.
Where do you want to start?
Well, let's start off with the fact that
the lawsuit?
We can start with the lawsuit.
I mean, that's just the tip of the iceberg.
Invoking something called the Modell Law, the city of Cleveland will sue the Cleveland Browns over moving to the suburbs. Supposedly, this Modell Law, obviously put in place
after they bolted for Baltimore back in the day.
Now, I am not a lawyer. I don't feel comfortable getting into this lawyer shit, but it's something to do with the fact that if there is something in the books that says if any sports team in the city of Cleveland wants to leave their current facility,
they have to ask
and there
permission.
is taxpayer money involved in any way, shape, or form,
yes.
They have to ask permission, and there has to be a window where people
they have
can
to
step
give
in.
6 months notice.
6 months notice, and they have to have a window where they'll sell the franchise. They have to be willing to sell the franchise if the new owners will keep the team where it is. That's how I read this.
It's really a fucked up law.
But I don't understand.
Why are you holding teams hostage
Now,
in that regard?
I will say this. We've talked about outdoor football versus indoor football. And they're talking about building a dome stadium in the suburbs. So that will take a lot of the fun out of Cleveland Brown games.
It will.
That part
Big
I
time.
get. Now, if they were building an open air stadium, I would say
in the suburbs, fine. Where you can, we've been to Cleveland. We've seen where that stadium is. It's not in a great locale. You're penned in by the lake, like Soldier Field in Chicago.
And because we all went. I've been there with you. We went to see Genesis.
Yep, hit the Rock Hall of Fame.
That city shuts down on the weekends at like 6 in the evening.
5 Saturday.
We had to walk how many blocks to find a restaurant district that was actually open. And we had a hotel right by the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame.
Yeah, Saturday afternoon we go out at 5. Everything is shutting down.
The malls, everything.
It's like, come on, seriously? You've got a major concert in town. You've got tourists coming in for the Hall of Fame, which was packed that day. And you had a Browns game the next day.
Yeah,
so
because when we woke up in the hotel, we could hear the tailgaters.
Yeah, so everything's shut down. Nothing's open. You had to go way out by the arena where they play basketball to find anything open going on. It was ridiculous.
So we will see what comes of this. I mean, this is just between what's going on in Tampa with their baseball stadium
Yeah.
and now this.
Yeah, you have a major city that
And the White
shuts
Sox,
down.
I hate to say it, when are we going to start hearing the next salvo in that battle?
No, we're going to move to Nashville. Dirt, 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 dirt.
Then, of course, poor Cam Ward. Poor Cam Ward. Please, God, send him to Tennessee. Please, Titans, draft Cam Ward. Because if he ends up going to Cleveland,
He's done.
I am going
He's
to
done.
weep. I am going to weep for that young man for days upon days, like I was in some kind of a Shakespearean drama. Because now news has come out that Deshaun Watson tore his Achilles again
In rehab.
and now it looks like he will not be available for a large portion of the 2025 season, which means they are going to be in desperate need of a quarterback. And they will probably draft one if they can. So once again, I will now beg
Please,
Tennessee,
please.
or somebody jump up, somebody better, Pittsburgh, jump up and draft him. But please don't send my man Cam Ward to Cleveland. Please, God, don't do it. He doesn't deserve this. Anyway. Oh, and finally, we're not done yet with Cleveland. Because news just came down today that, yes, I understand that my man, the last quarterback to lead the Miami Hurricanes to a national championship, Ken Dorsey, was not a great offensive coordinator. I get that. He failed in Buffalo. He failed in Cleveland. Still, all-time legend for me. So who do they replace him with? The new Cleveland Browns offensive coordinator is Tommy Rees.
Oh, my God. Seriously.
Yes. Promoted from tight ends coach and passing coordinator.
Oh, God.
Tommy Rees will now be the Cleveland Browns offensive coordinator.
Stefanski, what the fuck are you thinking?
Oh, my Lord.
Did you not watch how abysmal he was at Notre Dame?
The fun just never ends.
Did you not watch how abysmal he was at Alabama?
The fun just never ends with the Cleveland Browns.
Oh, Lord have mercy. There you go.
All right, Dave, we got 4 games to pick for this weekend.
We do.
The divisional round of the NFL playoffs.
Kicking off Saturday afternoon, January 18th, the Texans go to Arrowhead to play the Chiefs.
I know the Chiefs have not played their best football this year, but they've been starting to get there.
They're playing better. It's going to be miserable weather. They're used to playing in the cold, miserable weather. The Texans are a warm climate team in a dome.
Yep. And even their opponents, they play Jacksonville. They play Indianapolis in a covered stadium. Tennessee, that's not usually a terrible weather city.
No.
Yes. So great
home field advantage rears its head.
This is the pattern for the Texans. They will win a playoff game and then go home.
Yep, they will be going home. So
and this will set up, regardless of what happens in the other AFC game, a tremendous AFC championship game.
Yes, it's going to be phenomenal.
However, we have dissent.
We do. And believe it or not, we have all 8 panelist picks in.
And they're already posted on Facebook.
It was a playoff miracle.
Amazing when you only have 5 games versus 25.
Yep.
What can happen?
It's a playoff-uary miracle.
Our defense stinks. I love those commercials so much. Very rare for me to say that. But those Dr. Pepper...
Happy playoff-uary sheriff with the snowman in the Boz outfit.
Yep.
Perfect.
Yep.
But we have dissension. 2 of our picks are for the Texans. The
Sam
elder
and Jen.
statesman and Mrs.
Now,
C.
we know what Sam's agenda is here.
Yes. Sam is 6 games behind Bill in our picks.
Yep, for the Picks Championship 24
for the Rick Shaggy
25.
Brooks Memorial Trophy.
So he is now getting desperate.
Trying to pick Oppo in hopes that it could come to pass.
And he's guessing, but he guessed very well this week.
Yes.
He did guess very well. So he went opposite as Bill went with the Chiefs, Sam went with the Texans. But in the next game, he couldn't do it.
Nope, he could not go
His
against...
beloved Lions, the Commanders. And now I'm rooting against the Commanders. More than any team in the playoffs now.
Now, as a Bears fan, should we not be rooting for the Commanders? Because
no, I'll root.
If the Lions get bounced, then we can hire Ben Johnson right away to be the Bears' next head coach.
Why do you have to always be smart and logical about this shit, Dave? Can't they
just throwing it out there?
Can't they lose next week?
Just throwing it out there.
Commanders are now one of my least favorite teams.
They've always been one of my least favorite teams.
I know. And this is the one game of the 4 across the board. All 8 of our expert panelists taking the Detroit Lions.
Yep. Descent the rest of the way out.
Not much.
Not much.
Well, not much with this game.
No. This next game, the Rams at the Eagles.
Sunday, January the 19th, the early game.
Sam is taking the Rams to go opposite of Bill.
And we just explained why.
Yep. So, Eagles for everybody else.
Then the knockdown, slobber knocker, ding dong dilly.
Your MVP quarterback candidates going head to head.
The Ravens at the Bills. Now, weather should not be a factor in terms of, I think Baltimore can handle the bad weather. If there is bad weather, Baltimore can handle it.
It's going to be cold, kids.
This is going to be good. This deserves the Sunday night slot.
It does.
Ravens at Bills, and we are split. The panel is split 4-4. And do you know, by the way, great minds, you and I, the only ones that picked all the games the same? And we'll end
they'll come back and bite us in the ass.
We'll end up 0-4. Dave and I were the only ones who had the same 4 picks, I do believe. Now, I was including college as well. We'll get to that in a few minutes. But Ravens for me, for Dave, for Sam, and for Doug. The Buffalo Bills, of course, for Mrs. C, as well as Bill, Nick, and Aaron. Now,
to me, this comes down to coaching.
Absolutely, 100%
I do not
agree.
trust McDermott. Sorry.
No.
I don't trust McDermott.
And a lot of people are starting to turn a little bit on Harbaugh, saying same thing as they say about Mike Tomlin.
Yeah.
Now Harbaugh at least is winning playoff games, but not winning to get to the Super Bowl.
Right.
It's been a long time since he got his ring. So there are some people saying maybe Harbaugh is a little bit like Mike Tomlin.
But still like Harbaugh.
Oh, he's still better.
McDermott.
Oh my God, yes. Oh my God, yes. And then, of course, we are not even talking about the big difference. Derrick Henry. Derrick Henry will take this game over. Woods is a great running back on the other side.
But he is no Derrick Henry.
No.
You, sir, are no Derrick Henry.
And those 2 reasons, Derrick Henry, John Harbaugh, those are my 2 reasons for going with the Ravens.
Same as mine.
And again, the weather won't impact a Ravens team that is used to playing, not maybe this cold, but used to playing in cold, nasty weather.
So there you go.
All right. That'll do it for the NFL talk. Now it's time to move on. Not a lot to talk about outside of the championship game in college football.
All right, kids, it's time to talk NCAA college football on Spotify, Good Pods, Pocket Cast, Apple, Overcast, Castbox, Amazon, Audible, and iHeart Sports Frenzy, baby.
Otherwise known, of course, as iHeart Radio, because we cherish and we love every single one of our podcast platforms that will accept us and love us, as these all do.
They love us long time.
And don't forget to check out the Facebook page. I've already mentioned all picks are out there right now, so you can cheat. You can cheat. Get on the Facebook page right now, and you will be able to see who we picked before Dave and I talk about it. How about that? You can jump into the football DeLorean and go into the future. 1.21 gigawatts. You got a few minutes because Dave and I are going to recap last week's games. The semifinals, the Orange Bowl and the Cotton Bowl. Notre Dame and Penn State in the Orange Bowl.
That was a hell of a game.
I'm going to say I fucking told you so. Not because of Notre Dame winning, but because I said I didn't like what I saw from Drew Aller the previous game. And his whining and his bitching and his immature attitude.
And his inability to play under pressure.
Yes. And of course he throws the massive interception.
That was one of the worst passes I've seen in either college or pros all season.
I don't think he's a good quarterback.
He's not.
And there were people talking about, well, if they beat Notre Dame, he's going to be potentially a top 10 pick.
No, he's not. Do you know who is a top 10 pick? Their tight end, running back, receiver, quarterback, number 44. That kid is fucking unbelievable.
Yeah, they're saying that him and the defensive end.
Yes.
Those two guys will be high picks in the draft.
Yeah, they should be. Holy crap.
Yeah, Drew Aller going back.
Goodbye.
He's going back. He's got to play another year.
Yeah. He's like that weak tea bag where he needs to steep a little bit more.
There is an analogy I guarantee you kids have never heard before on any sports talk show ever.
That's what we try and bring you.
Drew Aller needs to be teabagged a little bit more. And of course, we're talking about Penn State, so.
There you go.
Teabagging.
See,
Teabagging
you
Penn
got
State.
where I was going.
Teabagging Penn State. They go hand in hand. Oh.
What?
Mr. Sandusky. Call for Mr. Sandusky. So Notre Dame beats Penn State in the Orange Bowl 27-24. They move on to the title game against the Ohio State Buckeyes, who took care of business against Texas 28-14 in the Cotton Bowl. Even though they had a de facto disadvantage, as this was a home game,
This was
basically,
seriously
for
a
Texas.
home game for Texas.
Yes.
Playing down in Arlington. Come on.
Yep. Now, I will say this. Going into the semifinal games, I was very high on Ohio State. They still look very good to me. But they didn't look quite as good as I would have hoped against Texas.
Yeah, they've got some issues.
But that will lead us into the title game in just a minute. A couple other things to discuss on the college football front. Now, first off, for Notre Dame, going into that game, left tackle Anthony Knapp, high ankle sprain, is out. But Notre Dame has seemed like through the year they've been resilient and they've come back, been able to do the next man up thing with all these injuries.
Yeah,
So-
that's one thing in all their games, because of the average margin of victory they've had, they've been able to play everybody in game time situations.
And this,
It's helped.
This, of course, will be the last game for Marcus Freeman before he takes over the job.
He is not going to be the Bears head coach. He's in his third year as a head coach, period.
Oh, my God, if he got hired,
That would be dumb.
I'm going to go out and spend
belief.
$500 on Buccaneers gear and just fully commit. Fully commit to my backup team.
You cannot hire Marcus Freeman to be a head coach in the NFL after only 3 years, period, as a head coach.
I will put up a framed picture next to Walter Payton and Rusty Wallace here in the studio.
Of Baker Mayfield?
No, of Todd Bowles. Of Todd Bowles. That's how desperate I will become.
No, and he would be stupid to go to the Bears.
I would rather have Mike McCarthy. I would rather have Mike McCarthy.
Yeah.
Now, I don't want Mike McCarthy.
Now, maybe at some point down the line, he could be an NFL head coach. Maybe.
Sure, but we're talking at least 5 years.
Minimum. 5 more years.
Yes.
Yeah. He does not have enough experience.
No.
And why would you leave what you're trying to build now to take over the Bears? Sorry.
And I hate to say it, the Bears need an offensive coach.
They do.
They can't go defense again.
No.
And I know that's kind of a
Misnomer.
silly, it's something that really doesn't always play out the way you would think, where you hire a defensive coach and it hurts the quarterback. Sometimes it works because the defensive coach might be smart enough to hire a great offensive coordinator.
Right.
But anyway.
To pick up where they're not as strong.
Right.
That's where you think would happen. Obviously, Eberflus didn't know what the fuck he was doing.
No. So we talked about Drew Aller of Penn State probably making the wise decision to go back to Penn State. I don't think this is a wise decision. Texas quarterback Quinn Ewers has declared for the NFL draft.
No bueno.
Now, I understand him wanting to get away from the pressure of Arch Manning sitting behind him.
But you know what? Transfer somewhere else.
I'm sure there are plenty of top-level schools. I heard rumors about Oregon. You heard rumors about Notre Dame. You're not going to be drafted outside of the 3rd or 4th round at best.
Yeah. Sorry, Ewers. You're not all you think you are.
You would have been better off taking the Michael Penix, Cam Ward route. Go somewhere at a big-time school for a year.
Play again.
Establish yourself as a top-flight quarterback, and then you will be a top 10 pick. Speaking of which, the Miami Hurricanes have done it again.
They've gone to the portal.
Money, 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 money. Too bad they can't pour any of that money into the basketball team, but
or the defense.
Yeah, or the defense, yeah. Well, we'll get to that in a second. Georgia quarterback Carson Beck, should I say former Bulldogs quarterback Carson Beck, who had initially declared for the draft.
Saw he wasn't going anywhere.
He was smarter than Quinn Ewers.
Yeah, because, I'm sorry, Beck is not NFL ready
he's coming off elbow surgery, too.
Yeah. No, he needs to prove that the elbow is healed. Honestly, I'm not all that sold on him.
Oh, the haters are going to hate, kids. The haters are going to hate. Because Carson Beck is going to be your new starting quarterback for the U. Carson Beck will take over for Cam Ward.
More power to you,
As Dave said, what does
Good
it matter?
luck.
Because the defense sucks and Mario Cristobal sucks. But we do have a new defensive coordinator as well. Minnesota defensive coordinator Corey Heatherman has decided to move down to South Beach.
Boy,
Coral
that's
Gables,
got to
or
instill
wherever.
some confidence.
I'm okay with it. Minnesota has always had a pretty solid defense.
Their defense has been decent. It's the offense that's abysmal.
You can't get any worse, Dave. You
This is
can't
true.
get any worse. Okay?
They were at the threshold of hell to begin with.
Now, I'll
so.
say this. If this combination, Carson Beck, Corey Heatherman taking over the defense, If this doesn't get us in the top 12 next year and get us in the playoffs,
Crystal ball
needs to be fired. And I guarantee the Miami faithful, because that is a passionate group of alums. You see Ray Lewis, Michael Irvin on the sidelines all the time. These former players love the program. They will make it happen. The boosters will say, bye-bye. We'll move on. We tried Mark Richt, didn't work. We tried Cristobal, didn't work. They will move on to the next one.
They won't get Richt again.
No. All right, so now we move on. Now we move on to the big game. The first championship game under the 12-team playoff. Monday night, January the 20th. And again,
God, I am sick of these Monday night championship games bullshit.
Now, isn't this all... Let me ask you this. If I'm not mistaken, isn't the 20th...
Martin Luther King Jr.
and
Day
inauguration day. What the hell, man? Come on. Can we spread out the wealth a little bit?
Stop having college championship games on a fucking Monday night. For the love of all that's holy.
Yeah, great. It's a national holiday, but everybody's going to have to go to work
the
Tuesday
next
morning.
Fucking day. I'm not. I'm taking the damn day off.
Yeah, me too. But Ohio State versus Notre Dame in the National Football Championship. I said I was not as impressed with Ohio State as I wanted to be coming out of the game against Texas, but that will not stop me from thinking they are a much better team than Notre Dame.
They have a more dynamic offense than Notre Dame does.
I have my bias against Notre Dame. You know this. I will try to explain this without being biased. I don't like Riley Leonard.
I've been saying that all year.
I know you have. Can't, like you said, maybe he completes one or two big passes, but not consistently.
Yeah, he throws an awful pick.
He will fool Ohio State maybe in the first quarter with the run option. They'll adjust. Ohio State will. I don't know if they're gonna. It's right now an 8-point spread.
Oh, it dropped from the 9.5 to 8.
It's at 8 because I just checked this about an hour and a half ago. So we're looking at an 8-point spread. Still, that sounds about right to me. That sounds about right to me.
I was thinking it should be about a touchdown.
About a touchdown spread is what I would expect. I will take Ohio State.
I hope I'm wrong, but I got to go with Ohio State. There's just enough about Notre Dame's offense that is off with Leonard, and they don't have the best receiving
And
core.
Jeremiah Love really hasn't been a factor that much in these playoffs yet.
No, because he's had the knee injury.
I know, but it's been the defense.
The defense and special teams
Yes.
have been outstanding.
So Bill agrees with us, and then everybody else, a bunch of fucking homers. A bunch of fucking homers. The other 5 panelists, which would be Sam, Jen, Nick, Doug, and Aaron, all take the Irish. And I'll tell you what right now, considering our proximity to the campus of Notre Dame, if they win this thing, I'm not coming out for 5 days. I will barricade myself in this house so I don't have to deal with the bullshit around here.
So what you're saying is Jamie and I need to drive around the block constantly honking the horn Tuesday if they win.
I will step out on my front porch and I will throw beer bottles at you. That's what I will do in my Miami Hurricanes gear. Oh, my God, if Notre Dame wins, you're going to be insufferable. You're going to be insufferable. I know
Like
that
you were when Miami won their last title.
That's been 20-some years.
It's been 30-some years for Notre Dame.
I cannot deal with this. I'm fine with Notre Dame getting this close.
But not actually winning it?
No. Right now, this is good. This is perfect. This is perfect.
No, they need to push it
No!
over the edge.
They will be the worst national championship team ever. With this offense and Riley Leonard, we're talking about Trent Dilfer. Riley Leonard is Trent Dilfer.
Riding on the tails of a good defense and good special teams.
Who was that defensive coach for Notre Dame again? Who was that defensive coordinator?
Oh, you mean Al Golden, who Miami fired?
Some men are meant to be coordinators.
Exactly. We've talked about this.
He just had to poach my man, my guy.
He's been gone for how long?
Decade, maybe? Decade.
Good Lord, man, let it go.
I can't let it go.
You should want...
Once a hurricane, always a hurricane.
You should want the best for him.
No.
You should want him to have a title.
Well, the way things are going, maybe next year he can come back and coach the Hurricanes. Again.
Don't make me spit my beer.
Who knows how this is going to work out? Rex Ryan could be back coaching the Jets.
Oh,
Al Golden comes back to the Hurricanes. Who knows?
There's some men
I'll tell you
just
what,
can't reach.
I'm telling you again, if Mario Cristobal fails this year, you think I'm going to turn down taking Al Golden back? Hell no.
Oh, no.
Hell no.
So
all right,
there
kids.
you go, kids. Time to move on to other sports. NHL, Blackhawks still suck. Dead last with 30 points. 14, 28, and 2.
I saw something today that... Now, I'm not the biggest hockey fan in the world. You know this. I saw that the Red Wings are playing really well thanks to one Patrick Kane.
Yeah, that's not surprising. The Hawks were not going to re-sign him. We knew that era was coming to an end. So there you go.
It was kind of a part of a bigger article about how Detroit sports all of a sudden are on the upswing.
Resurgence.
Yes. You know, all the teams now are all of a sudden doing great in the 4 major sports.
Yeah. Well, there you go.
That would be nice. As Chicago fans, we don't know what that's like.
To have everybody good at once, yeah, that's never happened.
No. God, no. God, no. Let's talk about basketball for a sec.
Why?
Real quick with the NCAA. Your number 1 team is Auburn at 16-1.
Yeah, they'll lose next week.
That's usually what happens.
Yeah.
Usually what happens with the number 1 team.
You get a week or two.
Tennessee did have a good run at number 1.
They did. They had a couple weeks.
Until Florida knocked them off last week.
So.
I still don't know how to feel about Bruce Pearl as a head coach.
Yeah, I know.
I don't know if I want to lump him in as a slime ball like Kelvin Sampson and Rick Pitino, but he has that feel.
He's got that oily...
Yeah.
Yeah, the smarmy.
He can coach, though. He can coach. There's nobody who can coach Miami.
Nope.
Just 2 years removed. 2 years removed from being in the Final Four. This team is now arguably the worst D1 team out there. 4-13. I don't think they have won a game since Jim Larrañaga resigned.
No, they haven't. Because they got off to, what, a 4-1 start?
Yeah. Yeah, because they're playing a non-conference schedule.
Yeah, and then... And Larrañaga left because the team is uncoachable.
Well, the nil stuff.
Yeah.
The nil stuff. Which works wonders in the football side of things.
Not so good on the basketball side.
And Mr. Shrewsbury struggling a little bit. Notre Dame is 8-9, although they've been playing some close games.
They're improving. Bray left that program in shambles.
Was it next year? Shrewsbury's recruiting class is supposed to be
top notch.
Yeah.
It's from what Bray did to that program, leaving everybody bailing. They're lucky to be where they're at, and with the potentially solid recruiting class in year 3, that kind of speaks to Shrewsbury as a coach and recruiter.
We shall see.
So who knows?
Yep. The NBA, now last week, as we were taping, we had this monster mammoth matchup between the Cavaliers and the Thunder. The Cavaliers ended up beating OKC 129-122. So, you take it for what you will. In the regular season, does it really matter all that much?
Not really, because if they wind up facing off in the championships, 7 games, that's going to be a knockdown drag out.
Yeah, and that'll be interesting, because then who gets home court advantage? Does this game matter when it comes to deciding that? If they were to happen to have the same record? I don't know what the tiebreaker is, but
yeah, I don't know.
My Magic, welcome back. The man, the myth, the legend, Paulo Banchero.
Cotter.
So the Magic pulled off a comeback win a couple nights ago against the 76ers. So they are 23-18. I believe still hanging on to the 4th slot in the East. And they are playing the Milwaukee Bucks tonight as we are recording. And I am not optimistic about our chances. The Magic at home are almost unbeatable on the road.
They can't win.
Yeah, and the Bucks have been playing a lot better. Of course, Doc Rivers. Revenge game for Doc Rivers. I don't like Doc Rivers at all.
Overrated.
NASCAR, Dave. Oh, boy.
Oh, boy.
Oh, boy. We got some issues here with NASCAR.
When I first read the report that they denied Mike Wallace the clearance to race, it pissed me off. But then, the last time Wallace raced was in 2020. The last time he ran a big track was 2015. Almost 10 freaking years since he's been on a super speedway. I know why they're doing this. I don't have a problem with it at this point.
No, yeah, Mike Wallace was originally slated to run the Daytona 500 for MBM. He has not been approved, as Dave mentioned, due to lack of recent professional races.
Yeah.
Now, the only thing I would have a problem with here is just, let's clarify what that means. What is your time limit in terms of...
I mean, my God, if you have not been on a super speedway in almost 10 years, you have no business
obvious.
getting out there.
You're right. It's obvious. The reasons why are obvious. But I just would like some more definitive parameters.
Instead of NASCAR just arbitrarily saying no.
Yes.
Yeah.
But
where is it written where you need to be blah, 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 blah?
Is it 2 years, 3 years, 5 years? What is the time frame we're looking at where you have not run a qualifying professional race in order to make the powers that be happy at NASCAR? And I'm starting to get really pissed off with the powers that be at NASCAR.
The big bullies who are making shit up as they go.
Well, thank God the federal judge who's handling the 2311 and Front Row antitrust lawsuit denied NASCAR's motion to dismiss.
Woohoo!
So let's play this fucker out. Let's do it.
Yeah, let's see where this goes. NASCAR needs to be hammered.
Oh, but we're not done yet. This is the one that pisses me off the most this week. NASCAR happened to slip out something that I have never heard of before. A rule book bulletin for 2025 came out this past week with a couple little doozies in it.
They usually will issue bulletins. What bullshit are they
I'm
pulling
not going to
now?
cover all of it because there's some positive changes to the damaged vehicle policy, so you can take the car back to the garage and not be eliminated from the race.
Oh, good.
But we just talked about Mike Wallace.
Right.
We now have a new open exemption provisional.
Oh, this
is how Helio Castroneves, we talked about this last week, this is how he's going to be able to run the Daytona 500.
If he doesn't make it in qualifying or race his way in.
Right. Now, some of this was confusing to me because they made it sound like, and I can't believe, why would you field a team if you're not going to make any money?
Yeah.
They made it sound like if you take the open exemption provisional,
you don't get any prize money.
Right.
Then why the fuck would you run it?
Thank you.
There's no point.
I was like, am I reading this right? Why? For the prestige and the glory?
To take the trophy, but you don't get the money that goes with it? Then
Let's
why
be
the
honest.
hell in God's name are you doing it?
Let's be honest. Let's use Castroneves as an example. And let's say he has to take this open exemption provisional. His odds of winning the race are probably 5% at best.
Yeah.
So you're going to take that chance just for the quote-unquote prestige and glory that you might... Because the 95% otherwise means you've lost a shit ton of money putting a car out there with no cash coming back.
Yeah. Why would you do it? It makes zero sense.
But this one's the worst. This one is the worst. And this is basically NASCAR pissing off all race fans. They have put in a new rule that will basically make drivers think twice before they try the double. They have changed the playoff waiver rule. So if you miss a race due to anything other than injury, or if your wife's having a kid, they'll let that slide. But they basically have put this rule in place saying that if you decide you want to run Indy, like Kyle Larson last year,
yeah,
and you don't make it back, you can still qualify for the playoffs, but your playoff points are all taken away. You start bare bones bottom 2,000, and that's any race you got playoff points in, go away. You can have a dominant season going, and for the betterment of racing,
the betterment of the sport overall, it would increase your ratings to have somebody do this.
You tried the
and
double.
You're fucking them over.
Yep. All points. You would start at the bare bones bottom.
So fucking stupid.
So now you basically, if you're going to try the double,
you damn well better make sure you're going to get there to be able to race.
Yeah, you got to make sure you're going to make the start of the Coca-Cola 600. You're going to
do you have to start it, or do you just have to race in it at some point?
You have to start. You have to start.
Then kick the start time back.
But why is this the snake eating its own tail again? Why don't you do something?
If you have Kyle Larson running Indy, people are going to tune in to watch him run at Charlotte. It's a natural progression. And you know what? God forbid he might actually win the Indy 500 and have to do all that. You're saying you're going to fuck him over that badly where he could possibly win both races in the same damn day? How damn dumb is NASCAR?
I'm telling you, this blows me away.
This reeks of complete stupidity. This is the big bully. This is why there's a lawsuit against NASCAR.
And you would think the owners like Roger Penske, who have a stake in both circuits, IndyCar and NASCAR, would be screaming at the top of their lungs.
Are you fucking stupidly insane?
I don't know. This upsets me so much that you're going to try to discourage guys from trying to run the double, which is always something year in and year out we look forward to.
We want to watch a guy do both. Come on.
NASCAR, again, we have to take it over. We got to run NASCAR now, kids. Here we go again. More stuff on our plate.
And we don't get paid shit.
All right, baseball, real quick. Just a couple things in baseball. The hot stove is ice cold right now. Nothing going on. There are still some
0, not a nil.
There are still some big free agents out there.
No,
but now we're in that period where we're going to wait them out and watch the prices drop. The Alec Bregmans of the world, the Santanders of the world. This is where they're going to have to settle for the 1-year opt-out type deal.
Yeah. Or realize that, gee, maybe I'm really not that good and not worth that much.
Or maybe
damn
my
money.
agent
Is a dip fuck.
Yeah.
Oh, what about the Roki Sasaki saga?
Yeah, gee. He's going to end up with the Dodgers.
Yep.
What?
Why is he even dragging this shit out? It's down to the Dodgers, the Padres, and the fucking Blue Jays? Seriously?
The Blue Jays get used in this stuff all the time.
Yep.
Now, but in this case, with the cap on his number, which is what, right, a little bit over $7 million, it doesn't matter. I mean, he basically can pick and choose who he wants to go play for. So it's not like when the Blue Jays were used in the Shohei Ohtani sweepstakes. Great news. Finally, it took them fucking long enough. No shock considering Rob Manfred's in charge. But finally, gotta love the Horn of Disgrace there. Sponsored by, give us a call. Send us a message. You could sponsor the Horn of Disgrace. Think about it. Sponsored by Lay's Potato Chips. Sponsored by
Metamucil.
Sponsored by Wendy's.
Taco Bell.
All right. I've been waiting for this because these guys should have been arrested for assault. The two dipshit Yankee fans who tried to rip Mookie Betts' arm off in Game 4 of the World Series have now been officially banned from all Major League Baseball parks, any kind of activity sponsored by MLB. They are not welcome.
That's a start. They should have been put in jail. Betts showed a lot of restraint. He should have filed charges against him for assault.
I agree. I agree completely.
He should have set the precedent.
And I cannot
We're not
believe,
gonna take
I
it.
could not believe the next day. Again, I watch a lot and listen to a lot of New York sports talk. The lack of compassion, the praising of these guys is like, are you sick? Are you this?
How fucking... That's New York for you. They don't care about anybody but themselves.
Yeah. And meanwhile, they can't even get on a subway without having a 14% chance of dying every day.
It's a 50-50 shot if you're going to get assaulted.
Yeah. All right. Our teams, very, very minor, small moves. I get it. The Cubs sign Colin Ray, 1 year, $5 million. He's probably going to end up being, I don't think he's going to push for the fifth starter. He'll probably be a long reliever.
Which they need.
And he's worked in the past with Craig Counsell. He was with the Brewers 2 years ago. It's $5 million. It's fine. I'll take it. It's fine.
It's not a bad move.
And then they pick up reliever Matt Festa from the Texas Rangers. Ooh, yay. We need bullpen help. They still got to get a closer. You still got Finnegan out there. You still got, I think Estevez is still out there. Get one of these two guys signed. You need a closer.
Out of your asses. Stop. Oh, we got to save money in case we're in it at the deadline and we have to add.
They can spend money and still be well under the tax threshold.
No, but they got to have the money for the free agent, for the big move at the trade deadline if they're in it. If you want to be in it, you got to spend some money beforehand, dumbass.
Yeah, the big move at the trade deadline is going to be turning around and trading Kyle Tucker because they're not going to be able to re-sign him. And then they traded away, thank God, one of my least favorite players, and I can barely pronounce his fucking name, Miles Mastrobuoni.
Mastrobuoni is gone?
Every time I see his
Master
name,
Boner?
every time I see his name, I think about masturbation. He's gone. He's headed to the Mariners for cash. Finally, we're getting some cash back instead of writing a check
to everybody in the world.
Because we wrote a check for Matt Festa to the Rangers.
You wrote a check to the Yankees.
Yeah. So thank God somebody else is writing us a check for the Master Boner. And I hated him.
He was not
The dude
good.
couldn't hit 200. And your White Sox bring back catcher Omar Narvaez. Narvaez?
Narvaez.
Yeah.
Whatever.
I believe was with your team a few years back. And then they bring in a pitcher for 1 year, $5 million. It's Martin Perez. Yeah, your enthusiasm. Tone it down, Dave. Come on, man. The enthusiasm level's a little bit much here. I'm starting to worry about you.
Yeah, I know. I gotta watch the hot
You're
blood
gonna
pressure.
stroke out or something here on me. Don't do that.
All right, I'll try to contain myself.
That was kind of a cross between the horn of disgrace and a fart.
That's what I think of the organization right now.
Okay, can I do my badass of the week?
Sure, we're doing badasses.
Yeah, let's do some badass.
All right, let's do some badasses.
This one is very interesting, and I just found it today. And it's going to go to the Baltimore Ravens. Not because, of course, they're doing well and they're heading into the divisional round and they won the AFC North title. They pulled off an unbelievably shrewd move today. And I love the behind-the-scenes, the machinations of the GMs and all the front office guys who are smart. I know nothing about that, being a Cubs and Bears fan. Smart
shit.
front offices, I appreciate. And that's where I'm going here. You remember the fact, about a month ago? Remember all the problems they had with one Deontay Johnson?
Yes, the dip fuck who refused to play.
Yeah, they had to suspend him a game because he would not go into a game.
Yeah.
And then they put him on waivers, and the Texans claimed him, and Deontay was still pissed off.
And wouldn't play there either.
Yeah. They put him on waivers. The Baltimore Ravens claimed him again. Now, bear with me here. You're sitting there going, how was that smart? He was a pain in the ass a month ago for him. Bear with me here. By claiming him on waivers, number one, he will not be on their roster until the day after the Super Bowl. Because they're already in the playoffs right now.
No playoff roster changes.
He will technically become a free agent at that point. But because he will be on the Baltimore Ravens roster briefly at the end of the season, right after the Super Bowl, depending on who's stupid enough to sign him, he will
A
get
conditional pick?
a compensatory pick. The Ravens will get a compensatory pick once Deontay Johnson signs with another team.
If somebody's stupid enough to sign him.
Somebody will be.
Yeah. That's brilliant.
They are. That's why they are one of the smartest front offices.
The Texans fucked it up.
And I guess the Ravens do this all the time, and we don't even pay attention to it. They usually have a couple compensatory picks from moves like this every year. And this is how they're able to turn that roster over and how they are always fucking good.
Brilliant.
God, I would love to have a front office like this for my team.
No kidding. Somebody who plays loose with the rules.
But within the rules.
Within the rules. I love it. I love it.
You got one this week or no?
I'm actually going to go with A.J. Brown.
Oh, no. Okay, go ahead. Oh, you and I are going to have problems with this.
Reading his motivational book on the sideline. Why the hell not? It could be he's not sitting there sulking. He's trying to put himself in a calm place. Good for him.
Yeah, we might talk about him more in a few minutes. All right. What little attention we pay to boxing anymore. This is like one of the few names I know. And with boxing, and this has been par for the course in boxing for decades and decades and decades. The retirement.
The unretirement, the re-retirement.
So for now, Tyson Fury is retiring from boxing. For now.
For now.
Many people say this is some
it's not
kind of
gonna last.
It's some kind of a negotiating tool
for the next Jake Paul bout.
Yeah, I believe they said this is the second time he's retired.
Yeah.
Now, this follow up to last week before we get on to moments of silence and our dumbasses of the week. Do you want to talk about something that pisses me off?
I thought we already did.
Well,
with NASCAR.
Pretty much anything can piss me off. This is why you didn't want me to get my voice back. Last week we talked about that whole bullshit with Fubo settling their lawsuit.
Yeah, by selling out to Disney.
Yeah. Oh, and guess what happens now? Venu Sports has been scrapped. It will no longer go forward. The joint venture between ESPN, Fox, Warner Brothers Discovery, Disney is now no more.
Well, isn't that convenient?
You want to talk about using the fans, using the sports fans out there.
Oh my God. That is beyond fucking pathetic.
So not only did Fubo sell out on their lawsuit,
now they're
and I
effectively done.
I guarantee Disney was the one that pulled the plug on this. Said, "Oh, we got what we wanted. We grabbed another piece of the streaming puzzle here."
Yep. So now we can.
Fuck you, Fox. Fuck you, Warner Brothers. You know, you go figure out what you want to do.
Yeah.
And Warner Brothers Discovery really needed this because they lost the NBA.
The rat once again rears its nasty little head and wiggles its fucking tail.
Now, I almost put this guy in as a badass, but we'll see how this plays out. Because there is one Fubo subscriber who says, "I've had enough." He has filed a lawsuit against the rat.
Good for him!
And he is seeking class action status and wants damages for all of this bullshit. Because he sees through all this like you and I do. And he's saying, all this is a stunt by Disney. Now they're going to jack up the ESPN prices again. So all of the streaming, the YouTube TVs, the direct TV streaming, all that shit.
All your cable is going to skyrocket.
ESPN, they're going to charge more for ESPN.
Because the rat fucking sucks.
So good for him.
Die, Disney, die.
Well, Dave, now we're going to move on to moments of silence. I mean...
Isn't that perfect?
Yeah, you're a little insensitive there, aren't you?
It's the rat. Do you really care?
No. I wish the rat was in moments of silence. God, that wouldn't mean... Oh, the morning I wake up, hopefully I'm still alive.
And Disney's
the
bankrupt.
Federal government has broken up Disney as a monopoly. And Marvel can go back out on their own. without having to deal with the influence of the rat. ESPN might actually start doing sports right again instead of caring more about politics. All right, we do have one moment of silence. Bill McCartney. Bill McCartney, of course, everybody thinks now when they think of Colorado, they think of Coach Prime.
No.
But Bill McCartney was the most recent coach, maybe the only coach, to ever lead the Colorado football program to a national title in 1990. So
not without a little controversy, but
was that a split title?
No, their quarterback had some questionable things and knocked up his daughter, and there was a lot of that stuff going on.
I thought maybe that was a split title year.
Yeah,
back when it was AP. Remember AP and UPI?
Maybe it had that, but yeah, there was a lot of questionable stuff with the program.
Yeah. Got kids who are out there. AP, UPI, what the hell are you talking about? Used to be 2 polls, kids. 2 polls, and both of them together would decide the national champion.
And it wasn't perfect either.
All right, so thoughts and prayers to Colorado family.
Yep.
Family and friends, of course, of Bill McCartney. Now we move on to what, Dave? What do we do now?
Now it's time to pivot. Find out who is the Red Foreman Dumbass of the Week.
I have 4 nominees in the world of sports. And I know right away one of them's not going to fly with your Uncle Dave.
So let's get A.J. Brown out of the way right now.
See, I don't see this the same way you do. I think this is a petulant little stunt to draw attention to himself.
I don't think it was. Did you see the
condition
of that
I just
book?
like to read. I just like to read on this. How come we've never seen the book on the sidelines before? He was mad because he only had 1 catch, and he had to do something to draw attention to himself.
No, the cameras focused on him because he had only had 1 catch.
There's the horn of disgrace for you. And by the way, that book, Inner Excellence, thanks to A.J. Brown, shot up to #1 on the Amazon book charts the next day.
Go figure.
That's a stunt. It's a dumb-ass stunt. Whether you like it or not, Dave.
It's getting the kids reading.
The NHL. Okay, come on. The Winter Classic next year will be held in Miami.
How fucking stupid are you? No. You're going to play the Winter Classic indoors. Yeah, that's fucking brilliant.
Yeah, in the Marlins Stadium, I think. Just think about that. The Winter Classic in Miami. Doesn't really work for me. Sorry. I don't care if you're trying to be fair and give everybody a shot. Sometimes just play
where it belongs. You have to keep it in the cold climates. That's how the ice works best. Dumb beyond belief.
Thank you. Now, out of all the things we've ripped on the Kansas City Chiefs about, and there have been a lot, Travis Kelce and Taylor Swift.
The Reed family.
Yes. I've tried to do my best to protect Patrick Mahomes. He's the one guy, not his brother.
His brother and his wife make it really hard on the poor guy.
And I could have gone with his wife on this one. But I'm going to call out Patrick Mahomes because he's got his balls in a vice at home, is what I'm going to say. And
he needs to lay down the law.
Okay, Dave, I'm not like wearing a wife beater here as I do this. Let's calm down a little bit. But Patrick and Brittany Mahomes, come on. I can't stand the stupidity of couples when they do this with the names of the kids.
Oh, God.
So they just had their third child. Okay? Let's start off going back a few years, before they had their first kid. Brittany comes out and says, well, yeah, this all started back with our dogs. We had our two dogs named Steel and Silver. And then Patrick and I thought, well, let's go ahead and keep that going with our kids. So, the three kids' names for the Mahomes clan are Golden. That's the new one. That's the new one. Golden, I believe, is the new one. The one that was just born. Sterling. Now, the third, I believe those are both girls. Okay? But of course, having a boy there in the middle fucked everything up for them. Because they had to name the boy Patrick the Third. But his nickname is Bronze. Why would you do this to your children? Why do you do this to these kids don't have a say in this.
You fucked these kids from birth. Literally.
I am completely down with the fact I wouldn't want to name my kid Bob or Bill. You know, I get trying to Nick, Connor, Cassidy. There you go. Great names. Great names. Not necessarily, boring, but they're not crazy either.
Yeah. Nick and Connor are giving me crap because I didn't push to name Nick Duncan. Because Connor's named after Connor McLeod from the Highlander. Right. Well, in the TV series, it was Duncan McLeod.
Well, of course, Cassidy is upset because she says, is it true that if I was a boy, you want to name me Dante? Like, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, hell yeah. Hell yeah.
Would it rather have been Randall?
Yeah, because I would have if he'd come out of the womb and said, I'm not even supposed to be here today. Then it would have been perfect. But come on, let's not do this to these kids with these silly, stupid names. Number one, George Foreman. Every kid's name is George.
George. Nothing
Let's
but George.
Just respect them as individuals from the moment they're born. And I know you've got to guide them through until they're old enough to be able to make their own decisions. But let's try to start them off on the right foot with a solid, creative, but not stupid, dumbass name. How about that?
There you go.
Finally, maybe this is me being a little peevish because of what we do. We've been doing this for years. So I kind of think in some way, shape, or form, we're kind of like journalists, right?
Ish.
ESPN just pisses me off to no end. Just pisses me off. Some of the stories they put on their front page on the internet.
Oh my God, it's so dumb.
Here's what I saw the other day. And I am not trying to diminish in any way, shape, or form the devastation and the tragedy of what's happening in California. Okay? Do not take it that way. In fact, once you hear this, you'll probably get mad like me. Because of all the people who've lost their homes. ESPN decided it was an important story to put in one of their top headlines the other day. Now, we all know how much I fucking hate Naomi Osaka. She is the poster child for snowflake athletes. But ESPN decided they had to make a big deal about the fact that Naomi Osaka, while she was starting the Australian Open, had to find somebody to get to her house before it burned and get her daughter's birth certificate. What the fuck? You realize you can always get another birth certificate.
You can get another copy of it. Why are you putting somebody's life in danger? And, gee, shouldn't it be in a fireproof box safe to begin
or a
with?
safe deposit box at a bank.
Somewhere.
That first thing I thought was, how is this a story? You can get
Because
another
it's
birth. It's not
stupid.
like you're an actor. Obviously, a lot of actors,
Yeah.
their houses either were burned or were in danger of burning. Go and get your Academy Award. That I get. You know, my Oscar's going to burn down. Maybe
They'll mold you a new
they
one.
probably would. You're right. They probably
They'll mold
would.
you a new one.
But it's a hell of a lot easier to get a copy of your birth certificate.
No kidding.
And ESPN's trumpeting Naomi Osaka for being so smart to call somebody from Australia and say, could you go to my house and get my daughter's birth certificate, please?
No, you're going to put my life at risk. Really?
I cannot stand the attention that is given to this snowflake idiot. She, again, the poster child for snowflake stupidity. Naomi Osaka. And the fact that ESPN touts her like this,
Is a
they're
shame.
dumbasses. So there we go. Four
Oh, God.
entries this week. Of course, we know Dave will not choose A.J. Brown. Then we have Patrick and Brittany Mahomes. The NHL for putting the Winter Classic in Miami. Or ESPN making a big deal out of Naomi Osaka's daughter's birth certificate.
God, it comes down to the birth certificate or the Winter Classic in Miami.
I just have such a hatred for Naomi Osaka that I'm going with that one.
I have to go because that's
With
such...
the Mahomes clan, a close second.
Yeah. It's got to go to Naomi Osaka. That's just the dumbest fucking idea to do, and to get that kind of coverage
Yes.
is absolutely egregious.
Yes. There you go, kids. Feel free to chime in.
Hit the Facebook page.
Hit the Facebook page, Spotify page. If you listen to us on Spotify, you can post a comment there as well. But that's going to do it for your favorite politically incorrect sports commentary podcast this week. God, it is great to have a voice again. I'm telling you.
It's wonderful, isn't it, kids?
Yeah. Yeah.
Don't forget.
Note sarcasm from the conquistador.
Don't forget Saturday morning, your hangover cure for your politically incorrect pop culture commentary.
Oh boy, and if you thought those dumbasses were something, I have got
baby.
6 for the weekend edition that will be, I guarantee, could be the most difficult choice of your life to decide who is the bigger dumbass among these 6. These are rarefied air for dumbasses. I'm just giving you a little tease.
This could be the ultimate dumbass slate.
For the pop culture, yes. Definitely. Definitely.
Well,
So-
my interest is piqued.
Don't forget, every Saturday morning, check it out this Saturday morning again. Tremonti, The End Will Show Us How. Our review of Season 1 of Creature Commandos and Clint Eastwood's latest movie, Juror Number 2. But until we have more fun with you doing that, it's time to say goodnight to the kids, Dave.
Good night to the kids, Dave.